Today we are here to talk about the all-electric 2027 Mercedes-Benz C-Class, and there's a lot to cover, starting with the fact that there is nothing to fear. The gas-powered C-Class isn't going anywhere. It just looks a little bit different than this one. The existing gas-powered model is going to continue on. It's going to be sold alongside this all-electric one, a slightly different strategy than the CLA class that's available in the choice of hybrid or electric powertrains, but the car, it's identical. Barely any discernible difference when you take a look at it aside from the badges. In this case, it is a very different car, at least for now. There is going to be a facelift in the not too distant future that's going to make the existing C-Class look more like this one, but it's still going to be a different car physically. The actual car itself, the architecture it rides on, and the biggest difference between the CLA and this one is that the CLA is an entry-level model. It is a front-biased all-wheel drive system, or indeed front-wheel drive, whereas this is a more conventional premium car, and it means a rear-biased architecture for both, including the way the engines are mounted. In the CLA class, the four-cylinder, it's transversely mounted, so it runs kind of across the engine bay, whereas in a traditional rear-wheel drive premium car like this, or a rear-biased all-wheel drive one, you are going to have an inversely mounted engine, and that is the case with the gas-powered version of the C-Class, which is why it rides on a dedicated platform versus this all-electric platform. Now, quite honestly, that's not the stuff you guys need to focus on with this all-electric C-Class. What you need to look at is the elevated experience. This is smoother and more supple than any C-Class before it. Yes, that's what Mercedes is saying. It's also what I am telling you from this driver's seat. Now, for the first time ever, you can get it with the combination of air suspension and rear axle steering. You could get air suspension before as well as rear axle steering, but never together. And besides, the old rear axle steering setup, well, it could only go a maximum of 2.5 degrees. This goes up to 4.5 degrees, which makes it more nimble and agile. And then when you combine that with this air suspension, this thing really and truly does ride like an S-Class. It is amazing. This honestly might be the single smoothest and most supple car I have ever driven. Yes, there are some more impressive ones in terms of their ability to isolate big bumps, speed bumps. If you take a look at Porsche Active Ride, that is an incredible system. But in terms of just overall driving character, I can't think of a better setup than this one. It is so amazing, and it pairs so perfectly well with the smooth and silent powertrain that you get with an electric car like this. That to me is the big sell. It's perfectly suited to the premium experience. Now, on that subject, at launch we will have a C400 with a dual motor all-wheel drive setup. Lots of output, 483 horsepower, 590 pound-feet of torque. Big numbers. Yes, this thing can accelerate from 0 to 100 in 4 seconds flat. That is quick, but that's not what this is all about. It's all about the serenity and the smoothness. Enjoy the drive. Enjoy a country drive like this one, or the commute. It's also very efficient. Now, it uses a 94.5 kilowatt-hour battery pack. That is bookended by those dual electric motors. Official range estimates for North America not available as of right now. Now, the very optimistic numbers from Europe, well, they say anywhere from 592 to 762 kilometers. I'd imagine that top-end number we would not see in North America, but something closer to 600 seems very realistic. And even now, I'm cruising around. I've got 73% battery and an estimated 516 kilometers of range, just to give you guys an idea of what I am seeing here. And I've been averaging right around 16 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. So that puts it with an effective range of right around 590 or 600 kilometers, which I think is what you want to see. Now, the big elephant in the room is the BMW i3 that can go a little bit further, but I think this is more than adequate. And I am guessing there's going to be a rear-wheel drive version in the not too distant future. Now, some of the other essentials we should talk about: an 800-volt architecture, just like the CLA, as well as the new GLC class. 330 kilowatt maximum DC fast charging speeds means you should be able to make the 10 to 80% jump in somewhere in the low 20-minute range in ideal conditions. Don't forget, That means a perfect day, perfect temperatures, and maximum output from that charging station. But even so, if you're closer to 30 or 40 minutes, I think that makes this a very viable option. Now, some other stuff we should talk about: this hyper screen inside, which is not standard. The super screen, or whatever Mercedes calls it, is the standard one that uses 3 separate displays. This does have the hyper screen. It's 39.1 inches. It runs from vent to vent. Pretty impressive. I got to say, the system itself is very intuitive. The MB.OS setup, it does have voice assistant, and it's AI driven because of course everything is these days. And according to Mercedes, it uses 5 different AI agents. So for example, the Google agent is the one that it uses for mapping. Let's say you want to find a DC fast charger nearby. And that's because, according to Mercedes, it is the optimal system for that kind of stuff, whereas there's a ChatGPT based one that does more of the mundane stuff if you want to have a chat with this. I will say though, I tested the Volvo EX60 not too long ago. That also has an AI-driven voice assist, and I just find it better. It's quicker in its responses, it's smoother and more conversational if you're into that sort of thing. This one works okay, but I do notice a pretty big lag in the response times, and it's just not as smooth as that Volvo system. I was able to have a very normal conversation with it while I was cruising around Barcelona, and if you watched my video not too long ago, you'll know what I'm talking about. Whereas in this one, well, there's just a little bit of a lag, and it doesn't really keep the conversation going quite as well. Anyways, beyond that, you can get just about everything you could imagine in here, including for the first time a vegan certified interior if you're into that sort of thing. There's of course a whole bunch of different colors of leather, including this very nice brown color that I like a lot with this kind of mauve exterior. It looks very nice. Now, I do not have pricing for you guys right now, but I'm imagining it's going to cost more than the gas-powered version. Unlike that CLA class that Mercedes is trying to offer that price parity for the hybrid or the electric model, this one I'd imagine is going to cost you at least a little bit more than the gas-powered model. So what does that mean? Well, if you take a look at the existing C300 with the all-wheel drive system, I think it starts at right around 62 grand in Canada, and then there is the AMG C43 version that's somewhere around 83,000 bucks. So I'm going to imagine that this C400 version of the all-electric C-Class is going to cost somewhere in between there. Now, of course, there are options, including the air suspension that is not standard, so that is going to push that price ever higher. But if that's the range that Mercedes is looking at in Canada, I do see a lot of value, and I do see this as a viable alternative to a gas-powered car. It's smooth, it's supple, it is incredibly relaxed, it's got all the technology you could want, and plenty of range as a commuter or even a long distance machine. I really think this kind of new generation of Mercedes EVs is what the market needs. This thing also has a ton of space inside. It's a lot closer to an E-Class than a C-Class, especially that back seat that I can fit in. Headroom is a little bit tight, but I don't find it too bad. And let's be honest, how often are you shuttling around passengers that are my size? Anyways, beyond that, I think this is a fantastically executed car, and I cannot wait to see what the future holds, especially when it comes to pricing. If this thing is priced right, I would definitely put it on my short list.